What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Tomatodito Show, and let's talk Tokyo Olympics 2020/21. It was entertaining as a whole. The Olympics, it's always fun to tune in. Not a lot of drama, not a lot of controversy to accompany it this go around, but overall enjoyable, right? I got to watch a lot of there's a huge time difference, by the way. I'm of course stateside. The time difference between the Tokyo time time zone and stateside, by the time that they were in mid events, we were probably dead asleep here in the US, or at least I was. A lot of the events taking place at 3, 4 in the morning my time, some of them at 6, 7 in the morning, whereas I was either barely getting up, going to work, or in the middle of sleep, because these things were airing at all different times of the day by the time that they were being aired stateside. So there's two sports that I paid attention to the most. Although I got to watch some soccer, I actually paid attention to a lot of track and field this go around. The swim competitions, those are always fun to watch. But the two sports that I really focused on, and I did my best to try to keep track of them, was boxing and wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling, of course. Freestyle wrestling was the ones that ended up catching my attention and caught the attention of the world, because they had some amazing performances. So I'll do a two-parter here, 2 episodes, one dedicated to boxing, the other one dedicated to wrestling. And of course, these are going to be focused or encompassed from the scope of Team USA, right? Team USA boxing, but I'll talk about the other opponents as well, and other countries as to how they represented themselves, and some of the fighters that caught my attention and the attention of the world, and a lot of boxing fans, or earned a lot of boxing fans because of their performances and their showings. So of course, from the scope of Team USA, this first part we're going to kick off here, and we'll dedicate it to, of course, boxing. So Team USA, for the women, O'Shea Jones, she lost to China's Han Gu. That was in the semifinals. Of course, she was trying to get herself into the gold medal fight. O'Shea Jones represented herself well. She represented female boxing in the best possible form available. O'Shea Jones is going to be great should she decide to return to the Olympics again or turn pro. She's going to be a force to reckon with. Slow succession of punches. Needs to let her hands go a little bit more. Her angles a little bit lacking. But of course, this is amateur boxing, and there's no doubt in my mind that she will transition well into the sport professionally as it currently stands right now. She lost to China's Han Gu in the semifinals. Nonetheless, this gave her the bronze medal. So she's a welterweight. Of course, the queen of the welterweights is Jessica McCaskill at the moment, and then Claressa Shields is up there. Also near those divisions, has fought through those divisions. Jessica McCaskill would be a tough test for O'Shea Jones, but O'Shea Jones she could definitely make a name for herself in the welterweight division right now, as opposition is somewhat light, given for more than the top 10 fighters in the world right now. She could definitely get herself within the top 20, top 30 fighters easily, with performing the way that she did here in the Olympics, should she turn professional. She's the bronze medal winner. She represents women's boxing well, and Team USA boxing really well with that bronze medal win, and walks away with another medal for Team USA boxing, female boxing. We move over to the male boxers, and there was 3 names that had the attention of Team USA and boxing, as far as boxing went. 3 names that we were focusing on, and the 3 names that had the best chance to bring back the gold for Team USA. And the first of the 3 names, of course, Duke Reagan, Keyshawn Davis, and Richard Torres Jr. We'll start with Duke Reagan. Duke Reagan lost in his bid for gold medal. He was having a really, really good tournament. He lost against Russian featherweight Batyr Gassiev. He ends up coming away with the silver medal. It was a good fight But Batyr Gassiev, of course, was the better of the two fighters. The judges ended up deeming the decision his way. And Duke Ragan was just minutes away from bringing the gold, from securing the gold for Team USA. He comes away with the silver instead. And because of his performance and the performance that he had throughout his fights in the Olympics, he's amassed a huge following now by social media and by media in its entirety. There was a lot of coverage that Duke Ragan received. And he will transition well should he decide to go professionally. And actually, he is professional already. He's one of the fighters that ended up representing Team USA, who has a few fights already under his belt professionally, and then proceeded over to the Olympics, similar to Keyshawn Davis. Duke Ragan comes away with the silver medal. O'Shea Jones with the bronze medal. So far, no gold medal winners. And then the hopes transitioned over to Keyshawn Davis in the lightweight division. Amassed a huge following as well, similar to Duke Ragan, and was regarded as the man. Keyshawn Davis was regarded as the one that would surely bring gold back for Team USA. Got himself into the finals, and he ended up he got himself into the finals by actually in a very exciting fight. He ended up defeating Armenian Bakhchov, and that was in the semifinal. He ended up winning that fight, getting into the gold medal fight against a former foe of his, someone who he's faced several times in the past in his amateur career in years past and has been unable to defeat him. And this was the case once again. That person, of course, is Cuban sensation Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz was the favorite. Stepping into the Olympics, coming into the Olympics for the lightweight division, Andy Cruz was hailed as the sure shot gold medal winner, and Keyshawn Davis was definitely going to be his best opposition available. Really good fighters in the lightweight division, as far as the countries and the fighters that showed up to the Olympics. But Keyshawn Davis, Andy Cruz were the standouts. They, of course, end up going against one another once again in the gold medal round. And Keyshawn Davis actually did really, really good to me. And obviously, okay, I'm biased, but I saw Keyshawn Davis win the fight. However, only one of the 5 judges saw Keyshawn Davis win the fight. 4 of the 5 judges gave it to Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz walked away with the gold once again. And we'll talk about Andy Cruz here in a little bit as well, because they were the Cuban fighters. They're known for being amazing amateurs. They're known for representing Cuba well in the Olympics through the history of the Olympics and Olympic boxing. So we'll talk about the Cuban fighters, Andy Cruz, and the other Cuban fighters that made noise in this Olympic tournament. But Andy Cruz defeats Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn Davis, similar to Duke Ragan, following their efforts to secure the gold, come away with a silver. No easy feat, by the way. So 2 silvers and a bronze that O'Shea Jones brought back to the U.S. That transitioned over to Richard Torres Jr. In the heavyweight division. And he also had a really good tournament with some really, really huge victories for him and some upsets along the way. He ended up fighting for gold against a former foe of his in Uzbekistan's Jalilov. Jalilov, of course, ended up knocking out Richard Torres in nasty fashion back in 2019 in the IBA championships. He knocked him out cold. And it was, of course, this had to be playing a role in the way that Richard Torres was going to approach the fight, or so you thought. But it didn't. Richard Torres went in there. He went after Jalilov, and he was attacking the body. He was the shorter of the 2 fighters, of course. He was definitely winning the fight. In my opinion, he was winning this fight. He was owning the fight. The clinching happened on behalf of Jalilov. The warnings were coming, but no points were deducted. Jalilov, of course, clinching, pushing the head down, constantly grabbing, constantly interrupting the action. The punch output was not there on his behalf. It was all by Richard Torres. But the few punches that Jalilov got Richard Torres, that he caught Richard Torres with, during the fight actually hurt Richard Torres, and it was almost like ghosts of the past were coming back to haunt Richard Torres from that 2019 knockout, because he got shaken several times. Nonetheless, Richard Torres didn't stop coming forward. The judges ended up giving the decision to Jalilov, and that was all she wrote. Torres came out strong. Torres was the last hope for Team USA to walk out with gold. Came out strong in the first round. Richard Torres in the second, I'm trying to remember what was going on here, because I remember the first round. I'm trying to remember this fight, not what's going on here. Where is my brain, huh? It's been too many days that I've spent away from this microphone and from talking to you guys. But I remember the fight. The first round, Torres comes out strong, fast, punch output, good power. Jalilov was a little bit shocked, a little bit taken aback, because the fight started a little bit faster than what he was expecting. By the second round, Torres came out a little bit slower. I remember that, but there was good exchanges between the two. Jalilov applied the pressure in the second round, kind of adjusted to the pace that Richard Torres was walking in with, and then he ends up staggering Richard Torres in that second round. And I remember the 8 count that the referee ended up deeming to Richard Torres, even though it was a standing 8 count that he gave Richard Torres. And that ended up setting Richard Torres behind in the judge's mind because of that standing 8. Was it legit? I don't know. The referee deemed it that way. They gave Torres an 8 count, and from that point on, Richard Torres was fighting from behind against the judges, and the referee had an eye on him now. Richard Torres was doing well. I don't know if the 8 count was necessary, the standing 8, but because I don't think he would have gone down. With that standing 8, if another few punches from Jalilov, I don't think would have put Richard Torres down. He was still composed. He was still moving around. But whatever, they issued a standing 8 that ended up setting Richard Torres back in the judge's mind. The third round, very few counters, very small punch output by both fighters. The pressure was definitely being applied by Torres. It was frustrating Jalilov. I thought Torres would have been up 2 rounds to 1, and with that standing 8, they would have been tied going into that 4th. At least in my opinion, the referee interrupted the fight several times, trying to break them apart when they were fighting on the inside, but would not take any points away from Jalilov, who was the one initiating the clinches, the one initiating the grabbing, holding onto the arms, pushing the head down constantly. I don't know how that didn't deem a correction by the referee, but it didn't. It wasn't issued. So that was the flow of the fight down the stretch. The judges end up deeming a unanimous decision win to Jalilov. Not even split, a unanimous decision win to Jalilov. As the winner, he walks away with the gold. Uzbekistan walks away with the gold. Torres Jr. Walks away with the silver. Reagan, Keyshawn Davis, Richard Torres Jr. all come away with silvers. O'Shea Jones comes away with a bronze, representing the female boxers very, very well for Team USA. And that was that for Team USA Boxing. Really entertaining fights. I'm glad that I was able to stay up late. Some of those fights I caught around midnight, my time, some of them even later. But it was well worth it. And I was really pulling for them. I thought they were going to do good and come away with the gold, in my opinion. And I'm sure it's biased because I was cheering for Team USA. But I really thought we could watch those fights again. And I really thought Richard Torres did enough to come away with that win. I really thought that Keyshawn Davis did enough to have beat Andy Cruz. Duke Reagan, deservingly so, lost that fight, that championship fight, and he deserved the silver medal. He earned that silver medal. But I thought Keyshawn Davis and Richard Torres did enough to have secured the gold, each in their respective fights, but the judges deemed otherwise. These are the other standouts that I made notes on. For the Philippines, Yumir Marcial, he performed awesome throughout the Olympics. He ended up coming away. He fought in the middleweight division. He walked away with the bronze medal for the middleweight division. His fellow countryman, Carlo Palam was fighting in the flyweight division. He got himself into the gold medal match against British fighter Galao Yafai. And that was an awesome, awesome fight. In the championship fight of the flyweights, Galao Yafai, of course, ended up coming away with the victory. Palam was dropped in the first in that fight. He did his best to get back into the fight, but his efforts, of course, came slightly short, and the judges deemed that Palam was going to be the silver medalist for that fight, with Galao Yafai being the winner. He walks away with that silver for the Philippines, and Eumir Marcial walks away with a bronze for his middleweight division. The Brits, the British, the English boxing has been doing so well in the Olympics in the past. Of course, names that come to mind like Luke Campbell immediately, Joshua Buatsi, who just ended up beating Bolotniks, had a great showing in 2016 himself. British boxing is always one to keep an eye on when it comes to the Olympics. Galao Yafai ended up making the most noise these Olympics. Galao Yafai, solid performance throughout the entire tournament. He walks away with the flyweight gold, as we were just mentioning, with the victory over Carlo Palam. His fellow countryman, the light heavyweight Benjamin Whittaker, he had a pretty interesting tournament himself as well, and he ends up coming away with the silver medal. He got himself into the gold medal match, and he ends up besting Joshua Buatsi, who came away with a bronze medal in that very same division back in 2016 at the Rio Olympics. Benjamin Whittaker, should he turn professional, he's going to be someone to keep an eye out for, just like Joshua Buatsi, who continues to perform well as a professional. He's transitioned well into the professional ranks and is one of the top names at the moment, beating that huge victory that he just had over Bolotniks a week or so ago, just a few days back, actually. But Benjamin Whittaker, he's going to be one to contend. He bested Joshua Buatsi's efforts from 2016, and he ends up bringing back a silver medal to his home country of England. Another British fighter that really made some noise was Pat McCormick. He entered the games as the number one seed in the welterweight division. McCormick fell short in his efforts against another Cuban fighter, and that was Roniel Iglesias, as he bid for gold and came up short. McCormick, another silver medalist, and that's not returning home empty-handed. So McCormick did awesome. Whittaker did awesome. Galao Yafai, of course, the gold medal winner. The Cuban fighters were the ones, to me, that made the most noise and once again cemented themselves as the who's who in amateur boxing, the country that represents so well and has had so many classical fighters, legendary fighters in years past, now have some amazing, amazing Cuban fighters that have made history in their own right. Roniel Iglesias, who we were just talking about, he came away with the welterweight gold, and it was definitely a dominant performance over Pat McCormick. He picked up London in 2012. So he picked up gold. He picked up London in 2012. He picked up gold in London in the London Games in 2012. He was a light welterweight in 2012. Roniel Iglesias picked up a bronze medal as a light welterweight in Beijing in 2008. So light welterweight bronze, Beijing 2008, light welterweight gold in London 2012. And now, as a welterweight, he picks up the gold in 2020/21 in these games. So 2 different divisions, gold in 2 different divisions, medaled in 3 medals in 2 divisions, 2 golds in those 2 divisions. That's an awesome feat in its own. He becomes the 7th boxer in Olympic history to win gold in 2 separate divisions, and he joins fellow countrymen and legendary boxers Felix Savon and Teofilo Stevenson as 3-time Olympic medalist in Cuba's, in that country's storied history, in Cuba's storied boxing history. Lázaro Álvarez competed in the featherweight division, and he walked away with the bronze medal in these games. That victory walking away with the bronze medal. That feat places him in the company of Roniel Iglesias as well, Teofilo Stevenson, Felix Savon, as another 3-time Olympic medalist. Alvarez won bronze medals in Rio 2016, and he won a bronze medal in London 2012 as well. Arlen Lopez, another Cuban fighter in these games. Arlen Lopez, he medaled for a second time in as many divisions also. Arlen Lopez walks away with the gold at light heavyweight. He's the man who beat Benjamin Whittaker, the British standout fighter. So he takes the gold as Benjamin Whittaker walked away with the silver. And Arlen Lopez, I'm pausing right now because I'm trying to get the dates right. Arlen Lopez walked away with the gold. And I mentioned gold in as many divisions, right? Because the previous division that he fought in was as a middleweight. And that was in the Rio Games in 2016, where he also walked away with the gold. Julio Cesar La Cruz, who took the gold medal in the heavyweight division this time around, is another Cuban boxer who won gold medal in a second division. He previously won gold medal as a light heavyweight, the division that Arlen Lopez fought in this go-around. Julio Cesar La Cruz fought in that division in the 2016 games, walked away with the gold. This time, he took it in the heavyweight division. And of course, Richard Torres and Jalilov that we were talking about were in the super heavyweight division. So Jalilov won for the super heavyweights. Julio Cesar La Cruz won the gold medal for the heavyweights, gold medalist in 2016 as a light heavyweight. And then Andy Cruz. That brings us to Andy Cruz, who we were talking about. He fought in the gold medal round against Keyshawn Davis. Andy Cruz defeats Keyshawn Davis for the gold. And Andy Cruz is not, he was held the favorite in this tournament and has been held as the favorite in prior tournaments. This is his 5th gold medal in his amateur career. Dating back to 2015, Andy Cruz won 2 gold medals in the Pan Am Games, 2 gold medals in the IBA Championships, and now added the Olympic gold medal to his collection. That's Cuban boxing right there. The pedigree that Cuba puts out as far as boxing and the pedigree that these boxers bring to the ring and bring to the world is second to none. That's the story behind Cuba's boxing. And just look at these guys, the stats that these guys have. Legendary fighters and continue to break records in their own rights. Awesome Olympic Games. So Team USA did great. And these other countries, the Philippines, England, and of course Cuba had great showings. Uzbekistan had a great showing as well, walking away with gold. Kazakhstan represented themselves very well throughout the games as well. China represented themselves in female boxing really well. So really good accomplishments. Really fun tournament as far as boxing was concerned. And with that, I'll close out part 1. Stay tuned for part 2, and we'll go ahead and touch base with wrestling. And that was the other category that really caught my eye this go around. Of course, track and field, soccer, swim, you name it. I was mentioning that at the beginning of this episode. There was a lot of stuff that I was able to catch, but the 2 that really caught my eye, that really caught my attention, and there was some historic movie type moments that were made that were present through these two sports, and boxing and wrestling, and that's why I wanted to do episodes dedicated to those 2 styles of combat sport. So I leave you guys with that. Thank you guys again for tuning into the Toma Todito show. Tune into part 2 of the Tokyo 2020/21 Olympic recap, and that will be encompassing the wrestling portion. Have a good one, guys. Take care of yourselves. Talk to you in the next episode.